Hey folks, this is Travis of Black Ring Tactical again, and today, once again, we're talking about shotguns. So what I've got right here is 3 targets. I have one at 7 yards, one at 12 yards, and one at 25 yards. So you can see that I have these paper plates up here. This is a pretty good indicator of, like, you could say an A-zone hit or vital hits. It's like an 8-inch circle, so if I put my hand right here, it pretty much covers the plate. If I put my hand right here, that's going to cover essentially the person's vitals, right? So we're talking about home defense here. So right here on the side, I've got Cellular & Bellow SMB, which is one of the brands of shotgun shells that I'm going to be testing. The other one is Hornady Black. So I've got each one of these targets labeled with S&B and Hornady Black and then the corresponding distances. So why would we want to pattern a shotgun with different shotgun shells? Because shotgun barrels are kind of like fingerprints, right? Every single one of them is different. What my Beretta 1301 likes, yours might not like that same particular brand and style of shot shell. So this is something that is essential if you're going to use a shotgun for home defense. You have to get out and pattern your gun with different types of shells. Everybody wants to just go ahead and throw Federal Flight Control in their gun and say, I've got it, this is the best out there, and it's going to work just great. Depending on the distance that you'd be shooting at, Federal Flight Control might not be what you want. I may not want, if the longest part of my house or the engagement that I would have with my shotgun is 12 yards, I may not want a super tight pattern like this. I may want something that spreads out a little bit more to basically poke holes in other vitals and kind of deliver a more devastating shock to the person. So Federal Flight Control is not always the answer. It just depends on what you are using it for. It's kind of like slugs, right? People will load slugs on their home defense gun. I don't think that's a great idea because you're going to go through the bad guy, you're going to go through the wall, through the neighbor's house, through their refrigerator, right? You get the idea. It's a lot more than what you would need. Slugs at distance, though, that's where they shine. So stick around. We're going to pattern the shotgun with different shot shells at different distances and gather some data. All right? Stay tuned. Okay, so the first that we're going to pattern is Cellular & Bellow S&B at 7 yards. So I'm going to take one of the S&B shot shells, load it in the gun, and see what it looks like at 7. Pretty good. All right. Next, 12 yards. I don't think you guys can see the target, but here we go. Okay. And lastly, 25 yards. Okay. So while I still got you here, I'm just going to go ahead and load the Hornady Black. So here's 1 round of Hornady Black, 7 yards. Really nice tight pattern there. 12 yards Hornady Black. And finally, 25 yards Hornady Black. Okay. So now I will grab the camera, we'll walk down range, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so the first target that we have right here is 7 yards. You can see the Cellular & Bellow. Pretty nice, good spread. It's a little bit more than what I would want at 7 yards. Hornady Black just straight up punched a hole through it. So that's pretty awesome. Maybe that would be what I would want for 7 yards. Okay, so here we are at 12 yards, and S&B, we have one that is off right here, and Hornady Black, everything is still on the plate. You can see where the wad went through right here. That's kind of cool. And this right here is also where the wad went through. So there is the 12-yard target. 25 yards. Okay, so S&B, I'm going to say that this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not right. Okay, so S&B, we've got 1. That was already there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. Let's see here. Let's count the Hornady Black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to call that 8. So it looks like the S&B has a very large spread at 25 yards. So I would definitely not want to use S&B for my home defense because you're going to straight up miss the bad guy and send those pellets where you don't want them. Hornady Black, on the other hand, you know what? I'm going to say that that's acceptable. Let me count them one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That is going to stay on the body. It's getting to the point where it's it's getting to be where maybe that's not what I would want, but inside of 25 yards, that would be great. All right, let's go shoot some more. Okay, so here we go again. I've got Federal Flight Control at 7 yards, Federal Triple-Aught Buck at 7 yards, same at 12 yards and 25 yards. So let's shoot this and see what happens. Okay, so I've got 3 rounds of Federal Flight Control. We'll go ahead and load those up in the Beretta 1301. Shoot these guys and see how well this patterns. I know it will. Okay, Federal Flight Control, 7 yards. Federal Flight Control, 12 yards. Federal Flight Control, 25 yards. All right. Now we will load Federal Triple-Aught Buck. 3 rounds of this. 7 yards. 12 yards. 25 yards. Okay. Gun's unsafe, it's empty. Let's go check it out. Okay, here we have Federal Flight Control at 7 yards. Basically punched 1 hole straight through the plate. We've got Triple-Aught Buck, a little bit of a spread, but that's actually very nice for 7 yards. That's kind of what I would want. But we'll keep moving. And now we have Federal Flight Control at 12 yards. So that's a very nice pattern. And Triple-Aught Buck, well, it looks like we're starting to hit the edges here, and we've got one down there. But still, I would say at 12 yards, that would be totally fine, totally acceptable. 25 yards. Okay, this is where things start to get a little bit interesting when it comes to shotguns. But Federal Flight Control, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only one that went through there. I'm going to guess maybe one of these, but let's count how many there are here. So, oh boy, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, some of those must have missed, unless I'm blind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know where the 8th one went. Must be a flyer. So, but I mean, you can see at 25 yards that Federal Flight Control still patterns very, very well compared to the other buckshot that we've tested. The Triple-Aught Buck at 25, definitely a no-go. I would not use that. But the Federal Flight Control at 25, I would use that. However, we're not getting very much of a spread at 12. So let's go and test some more. Okay, so here's something else to consider. What about Birdshot, right? This is 2 3/4, 7.5. Top gun from Federal, standard Birdshot. You buy it like Walmart, right? Why don't we use Birdshot for home defense? Well, I'll show you, okay? So first thing we're gonna do, load this up. 3 rounds. Now, at 7 yards, you're gonna be kind of surprised, as Birdshot actually does pretty dang good at 7 yards. But here, let's just test it and I'll show you. Okay, 7 yards, I'll shoot the Federal Flight Control up on top there. All right, now we'll bring it to the Federal Flight Control at 12 yards, and then once again at 25 yards. All right, so I'll grab the camera and we'll go check it out. Okay, so Birdshot at 7 yards. Is that lethal? Maybe. I definitely wouldn't want to get hit by it, that's for sure. Would I trust my life to it? Probably not. That's even 7 yards, which is pretty close. It's about the average length of a hallway in the United States. That's still not as good as we would get from Buckshot. So let's go check out 12 yards here. And 12 yards, holy crap. So that's a pretty big spread, right? Now I am running an open choke on my 1301, so it's not, forcing the shot together. But yeah, 12 yards, that's not great, right? That's probably just gonna make them angry. Let's go down to 25. Okay, so here we are at 25. Man, we've got pellets, like all the way down here, all the way up here. I know that I missed some. 25 yards, this is trash, right? You're just gonna make somebody angry if you shoot them with birdshot. So don't use birdshot for home defense. Okay, so lastly, I wanted to talk to you guys about a slug. So this is a Remington 7/8 of an ounce. They call it a slugger, right? It's just one chunk of lead, right, coming out of the end of the barrel. So why don't I like slugs for home defense? It's not that I don't. I do actually keep 3 slugs on my side saddle right here on my home defense gun, just in case I would have to take a shot longer than, well, we'll say 25 yards. I live kind of in a rural area, so there's a possibility that I would have to make a 50-yard shot. But 50 yards in home defense, man, that kind of depends on what the bad guy's doing, right? Whether or not that's going to be legal. So what I'll do is I'll shoot this slug here down at the bottom plate, which is for the federal triple-aught buck, because there's really not very many holes in that. And we'll see what a slug does. Also, notice the recoil and the report of this. What I mean by report is how loud it is, right? So notice the recoil, notice the report of this round. This 7/8 of an ounce slug right here. These things are not fun to shoot. Here we go, 25 yards. So that's with me doing the push-pull thing too. I mean, it's not terrible if you push-pull the gun, but not fun to shoot. Anyways, let's go check it out. Okay, so here is our slug. Great chaw, right? That's a pretty big hole, right? Yeah, it's absolutely devastating, especially at longer range or shorter range. But man, you're sending 7/8 of an ounce at I don't know what these are coming out of the end of the gun at. I would have to go look at the box and maybe break out the chronograph, but it's up there with like real high speed handgun rounds. I do know that, or like a low rifle round. It's kind of, don't quote me on this. I want to say it's something like 14 to 1600 feet per second. I'm not sure, but probably not great for inside of your home for home defense. But at distance, a slug is your friend, as you can see, because we're not getting this big spread and missing the target with extra pellets. We just got one chunk of lead flying down range. 1800 feet per second on that Remington slugger, and 1520 on the federal rifled Magnum rifled slug. Ugh, I wish I could read good. But hey, this dude on the internet one time said that birdshot's great for home defense at like super close ranges. So if it's just across the bedroom or something like that, you'd be all right. Well, this is 7 yards. That's down the hallway, right? So not great. But yes, birdshot at a very close range. I'm probably like 3 yards from the target right now. Sure, I'll shoot in between the 2 targets and you can see what happens right here. So yeah, as you can see, that hole, that's definitely going to make somebody have a bad day. But is this a viable choice for self-defense? Nah, it's not. Don't put birdshot in your home defense gun. Go buy some good buckshot. Take it out to the range, pattern your gun, figure out what it likes, right? So what do I use for home defense? I use federal flight control. I do. It works really well in this gun, as you can see. One of my other guns, though, my Maverick 88, likes some weird, it's like Bulgarian ammo or something. I had a student bring it to class one time. I didn't bring any with me today, but I'm going to have to look. Maybe I'll put it down in the description or something of what this ammunition is. But man, that Maverick 88 that I have, I mean, even at 25 yards, I'm not kidding you. The spread is like maybe this, right? It's insane. But I don't know what kind of unobtainium that they're doing there, but I shot that same ammo in my 1301, hates it. It's kind of patterns just like the triple-aught buck does. It's all over the place. So all in all, what's the magic round to use in your shotgun? Who knows? Go take your gun out to the range, bring a whole bunch of different shot shells with you, figure out what your particular gun likes, buy a bunch of that, stock up on it, right? Also, go buy a shotgun. Shotguns are cool. I know I keep saying that, but all right, if you guys have any questions on anything, please feel free to ask me in the comments. You can get a hold of me through email. It's blackringtactical@gmail.com. Go on my website, blackringtactical.com. Go sign up for a class. We'll shoot some shotguns. Generally, we've got, you know, if I got a full class, 6 people out here, we've got like 15 different types of shotgun shells. You can try them in your gun. That's kind of, it's almost like a community shot shell get together. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, I know in my last video I was telling you guys about how the Beretta 1301 will cycle like all different types of shells. It doesn't matter what you put in it, so I figured just for fun before I wrap all this up, I've got a round of Birdshot, I've got a triple-aught buck federal round, S&B, Buckshot, Hornady Black, Remington Slugger, and a federal rifled slug here. So I'm gonna kind of like mix and match and shake them up, load them into the gun, kind of at a random interval, and we will kind of see what happens with this 1301 here. So didn't really pay much attention to what I loaded and how, oh, I'm sorry, and how. So I'm just gonna go ahead and aim down range and pull the trigger as fast as I can, and we'll see how this baby cycles basically everything, okay? And here we go. Easy peasy, right? Cool. Man, I love that gun. Go buy a 1301 if you can, or an A300, it doesn't matter.